What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. Man, time has gone by so fast. It feels like it just, speeds up every single day at this point. It feels like it's already been a month ago since the Phillies clinched the top wild card spot, and it feels like ages, getting closer and closer towards the playoffs even starting, and we're finally there, basically. It starts tomorrow night, wild card series, game one, Phillies versus Miami Marlins. So, that definitely wasn't the expected thing because, with the standings going on in the past couple of weeks, you always, just assumed that it was either going to be the Chicago Cubs or the Arizona Diamondbacks at this point. And then, if the Marlins sneak in, they sneak in as the final wild card seed, and they're the ones that play the Milwaukee Brewers. But no, the Marlins, they got hot in their last few games, and, them winning their games and the Arizona Diamondbacks getting swept by the Houston Astros leads us to this predicament, and also the Chicago Cubs just basically choking the rest of the way. We all know what happened with, their debacle in Atlanta with Seiya Suzuki dropping that easily catchable fly ball. We all know how that went. So now the standings turned around. Marlins get the second wild card spot. Diamondbacks get the third. They're going to be the ones that play the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Phillies are going to be the ones that play those pesky fucking Miami Marlins. One of the most annoying teams I've ever seen, because you know the history with the Phillies and the Marlins the past couple of years. The Marlins have had the Phillies number, basically, except for last season. The Phillies looked like last year they finally figured out their Marlins curse. They were able to win series against the Miami Marlins at home and on the road fairly consistently too. But, this Miami Marlins team, they did improve over the offseason. They got some guys for their lineup. Their pitching's always going to be good. Their bullpen's always going to be good. It's basically just, based on what their hitters are going to be. And at first, looking at their lineup, I didn't believe in it, because when I'm just looking at it, it's basically just Jorge Soler providing the power and then nobody else. Because, this is not a very powerful lineup. But then you bring in, Luis Rhys, the batting champion from the American League last year, who wins it now this year for the National League. So that's back-to-back batting champ titles for him. So that's, a very high point in their lineup. But he has been injured the past week or so, and Skip Schumacher, their manager, said that, he's most likely going to play. It's going to take a lot for him to not play. But that definitely is something we're going to have to look to see as the days goes along. Is he going to be a full 100% going into this series? We're going to have to wait and see. Jorge Soler is definitely going to be a pain in the ass, because with his postseason experience, with the 2021 Braves, all the freaking moonshots that he hits, and it feels like he's another guy that just constantly kills the Phillies. You get Jazz Chisholm, he's a very annoying hitter. Brian De La Cruz, he's a very annoying hitter. So they got a lot of annoying hitters in this lineup, and there's also some familiarity too from last year's postseason. Josh Bell, they bring him over at the trade deadline from the Cleveland Guardians, and he looks like he's, resurfaced his season, because he did not have as good of a season with Cleveland to start the year, and then he gets traded over Miami in a playoff push. He makes his numbers a little bit better, provides some more pop. They also get Jake Burger from the Chicago White Sox. He brings a lot more pop into the lineup as well. So there definitely is, they're definitely a solid lineup. They're a bunch of pesky hitters. They're not going to kill you for power. Like I said, Jorge Soler is the main power hitter of the entire team. If you look at their entire lineup, the Miami Marlins, they only have one guy that is above 30 home runs and above 20 home runs. The rest of the guys down the way, Brian De La Cruz has 19, Jazz has 19, Jesus Sanchez has 14, Luis Rhys has 10, Josh Bell, in the 53 games that he played with the Marlins, he did hit 11 home runs. He has 22 on the year. And then Jake Burger, looking at his time overall this season, he's a 34 home run hitter. He had 9 home runs with the Marlins. And just, basically, yeah, they're going to be a very difficult out. And especially if you're looking at their starting rotation, yes, Sandy Alcantara is going to be injured. He's not going to be pitching this playoffs for the Miami Marlins. We all know how they shut him down. He was having that elbow inflammation. They set him down for minor league rehab, and he felt it once again, and they just decided to cut it off and shut him down for the rest of the year. But still, their rotation has some nice, very young arms, and it's very lefty heavy. And you're going to be seeing that in this first game especially. You're going to be seeing Jesus Luzardo, a guy that has given the Phillies a couple of issues basically throughout his career. He's a very nasty left-handed hitter. The Phillies have put runs up against him. It's just the fact that every start that Luzardo has pitched against the Phillies this year, they've won. So that's definitely going to be something there. And then, they're going to have Braxton Garrett, who the Phillies have had more success against this season. So it's definitely going to be very left-handed heavy. And their bullpen's very left-handed heavy as well. So it's going to be up to a lot of the right-handed hitters in this lineup to do some damage during these, this 3-game series. I believe that this Phillies team can find a way to beat the Miami Marlins, but there's still that lingering doubt in my head just because of the history between these two teams the past couple of years. The Marlins, basically being the Achilles heel of this team. And if you look at that, with the way the Marlins are to the Phillies, or if you look at the way that the Phillies are to the Braves, the Braves dominate the rest of Major League Baseball, and the Phillies are just that one team that just seems to be the thorn in their side. That's the Miami Marlins to the Philadelphia Phillies. So this is definitely going to be a very tough series for this team. Granted, it's going to be even better that every single game is at Citizens Bank Park. So that's going to be to your benefit, and also the experience from last year, going through all that adversity, going through that deep World Series run. Sadly, didn't get the job done, but that provided a lot of experience for the guys on this roster, basically. Bryce Harper with all the moments that he provided. Same thing with Kyle Schwarber. Rejuvenated Nick Castellanos this year. I expect big things from him this playoff. JT Realmuto, even though he sucked at Citizens Bank Park, hopefully he can step up to the plate and provide some damage. Trey Turner, brand new contract, sucked to start the season. Then after that standing ovation, he was amazing. Amazing from that. He did get hit by a pitch in the last game, or the second to last game against the New York Mets, but Rob Thompson said he's perfectly fine. It's just a bruise on his elbow, so he's going to be good to go. So avoided something there, so that's nice to see at least. So if you're at Alec Boehm, who just hit his 20th home run in the final game of the season, so that's 6 hitters in this Phillies lineup with more than 20-plus home runs. So that's the first time in franchise history that this team has done that. They also shattered the franchise record for home runs. I believe they've had over 220 this year. So, yeah, this Phillies team hits per power. I need more from the right-handed heavy guys, though. Bryce and Stott's going to be in the lineup. The lefties are going to be in the lineup. Schwarber's going to be there. Bryce is going to be there. Stott's going to be there. Marsh is going to be there. So I'm looking at the right-handed guys, though. I'm looking at Boehm. I'm looking at JT. I'm looking at Trey Turner. I'm looking at Nick Castellanos. And maybe, hey, Johan Rojas. Maybe Johan Rojas can provide something in his first, postseason. Came up with some big hits, got the nice walk-off to clinch the wild card spot. So that was, good for him. But this is going to be his first postseason, him rolling around out there in center field. So I can't wait to see him there. Yeah, but I am confident in this team. I am. I'm just thinking to myself, a lot of people were very afraid to play the Arizona Diamondbacks just because of their 1-2 punch with Zack Gallen and Merrill Kelly. It was, like I said, it's just that lingering doubt in the back of my mind just because of the history between these two teams. I feel like it's just like how Braves fans feel about the Phillies. You have that lingering fear in the back of your mind because this team is a pain in the ass to us for some reason, and we cannot explain it. That's basically what Miami is to us. And there's going to be a lot of things, maybe the inexperience for the Miami Marlins, kills them. Even though they do have some experienced guys on the roster, Josh Bell with the San Diego Padres going to the NLCS last year. They do have Yuli Gurriel, who's been on, all those Astros teams. So definitely he can provide some stuff. But they also got that underdog factor for basically everyone going into the season, doubting them and all of that stuff. They find a way that, the percentage odds and stuff to make the playoffs even were very low. So, and especially no one's going to be giving them any type of chance against the Phillies in this wild card. So they're going to be playing with house money, basically. They're going to play with that underdog factor, why not us, and all that stuff. So the Phillies are going to have to be prepared for that. I want them to come out of the, out of the thing slinging, gunshots flaring, and all that. I would like to see a nice leadoff bomb from Kyle Schwarber or do some damage in the bottom of the first inning. We get a nice 1-2-3 from Zack Wheeler, who's going to be starting game 1. Aaron Nola is going to be starting game 2. It's going to be a question mark for if you go to game 3, if that's necessary. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with all of that. But get a nice 1-2-3 quick inning from Zack Wheeler, then you go and do your damage against a pitching staff that doesn't have the experience in the postseason, and they're going to be going up against a very, 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 or they're not going up against it. Well, honestly, you can say they are going up against it, but they're going to be in a very loud Citizens Bank Park, a ballpark with home field advantage through the wild card round. That's going to be in your face, non-stop noise throughout the entire way. They're definitely going to try to do it early to get the crowd silenced, but if the Phillies start to do their damage, or if Zack Wheeler has a nice clean inning to start off the night, it's going to be loud, and it's going to be loud for the entire thing. So you're going to be prepared for that. And maybe the Marlins aren't prepared for that because of the inexperience on the roster. A lot of young guys. On their roster. But who knows? Where does the pressure lie at? You could probably say it lies to the Phillies because they're definitely the borderline. I would say the borderline. They're the favorites to win this series, no doubt. I'm sure there's a lot of people throughout Major League Baseball that are predicting the Phillies to go far when they do all their brackets and stuff like that. I'm sure everyone's predicting the Phillies to win this series to go play the Atlanta Braves in the NLDS. So yeah, there definitely is a lot of pressure on the Phillies to try to repeat what they did last season. And they're like I said, the Marlins, they're playing with house money. So the Phillies are going to have to be prepared for every single second of that. They definitely are. But you do have the benefit of home field advantage. You do have all that stuff. You play a lot better when you're in your home ballpark. Hit a lot of home runs. The weather's going to be very, hitter-friendly this week. And, it's back up into the high 70s, the low 80s, so the ball definitely is going to fly, which benefits to you. So you're going to have to think of this every single advantage. I need Zack Wheeler to be on his best stuff. You're going to need Aaron Nola in Game 2 to be on his best stuff. He closed out the season strong in his last 2 starts, and hopefully he has something for this October to prove something to us. Because he feels like he has a lot of unfinished business from how poorly his season was to his standards. And yeah, his season was not the best. It wasn't good. All those home runs he's allowed wasn't good. It wasn't fun to watch. But I saw stuff from Aaron Nola in his last 2 starts to maybe he could find a way to figure it out. No walks, no home runs allowed in his last few. Well, he did allow a home run in that start against the Pirates, but still, no walks, minimal run damage, and all that. He went off on a high note. Let's find a way. And then if you do happen to go to a Game 3, I'm not sure what the case is going to be for there. It most likely will be Ranger Suarez, I would assume, for a Game 3 situation. But if the Phillies find themselves in a good spot in these first 2 games, who knows what comes out of the bullpen. You gave Craig Kimbrell a lot of rest in the bullpen, so is he going to be rested and rejuvenated enough? He got, a little bit of rest there, so maybe he's going to be back to electric Craig Kimbrell. Jose Alvarado was very good down the stretch. Orion Kerkering, what's his role going to be? Serafini, he had a good, nice stretch in the last few games of the season, so is he going to be dynamic Serafini like what he did in the playoffs last year? I have no idea. The bullpen definitely has a lot of question marks. But when the bullpen gets hot, it's hard to stop. Really, it is. When this Phillies bullpen gets on a roll, when Jose Alvarado's pitching good, when Craig Kimbrell is pitching good, that is a great 1-2 punch in the 8th and the 9th inning. If you can get Orion Kerkering with very few teams seeing what this kid is capable of, we'll like to see what that happens there because he can definitely dominate you with that slider and then just pound you with an 100-mile-an-hour plus fastball right on the top of the zone. And then who else if you're looking in that bullpen? Michael Lorenzen, maybe he finds some groove back there as a guy that can maybe eat innings for you or something like that. So there's definitely a lot of Gregory Soto, this is going to be his first playoff push with his new team, so good to see what happens there. But yeah, I'm very excited. I am very excited for this, but like I said, it's with the Miami Marlins, so you're going to have that lingering, tiny little dot in the back of your mind that's just like, oh my God, why does it have to be the fucking Marlins? Why does it have to be the fucking Marlins? That's just basically the way I look at it at all. I'm very confident in this team, but I'm going to have that lingering panic in the back of my mind just because it's the fucking Marlins. If it was any other team that the Phillies played, I would have been perfectly confident. I would have been fully confident against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I would have been fully confident against the Chicago Cubs or anything else. Even if the Reds made it, I would have been firmly confident against them. But, you get the team. This is the team that you got to face. You can't complain. You can't do anything about it. You got to go take advantage day by day. Go win your games. Go win your series. And move on. Try to get us another magical October. Nice little rematch in the NLDS with the Atlanta Braves. Because that's basically what you're playing for right now. That is basically what you're playing for right now. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be very fun. If I'm looking at this Phillies lineup, I can't wait to see what Bryce Harper has in store for this playoff run. Dude has a lot of things that he wants to bring back to this city. Kyle Schwarber hitting bombs all over the place. What's Trey Turner going to look like in his first playoff in a Phillies uniform? How is the experience from last year for Bryson Stott, Alec Bohm, Brandon Marsh? How is that going to carry over to this season? Because those three had really good years. Even though Brandon Marsh did struggled in September because those strikeout numbers went way up for him in September. So he really struggled with that scenario. But can he find a way to shake himself out of that in the first playoff game with that Citizens Bank Park crowd rocking? Alec Bohm with the 20 home run season, huge for his development. How is he going to utilize last year's postseason for this year? JT Realmuto, I feel like he's basically the X factor. If JT Realmuto can have a good series at home in the playoffs, there you go. JT's your X factor, in my opinion. Because you know Schwarber's going to try to do shit. You know Trey Turner will do shit. You know Bryce will do shit. Honestly, I'm confident that Nick Castellanos can do stuff. JT's your X factor, in my opinion. I need JT. I need JT to show us that he could still be the best catcher in baseball. I think he is the most important thing. Most important thing there for this lineup. We know what he provides behind the plate. Pop time, all that stuff. I need to see him with the bat. Consistently. And who knows, maybe it's a guy that we're not expecting, like a Johan Rojas. Maybe he becomes a hero. Maybe it's an Alec Bohm. Maybe it's a Bryson. Maybe it's the daycare again. Maybe it's those guys. But who else? Who else can it be? You know, like I said, you know Bryce and Schwarber, Trey Turner are going to do their thing. I know lefty-lefty matchups for Schwarber and Harper and all that stuff. I don't think they care about it. I don't think they're fazed about it. It's funny, too. I actually do think the Phillies have better numbers this season, OPS-wise, against left-handed hitters. So maybe that works to their benefit. I have no idea. But like I said, the inexperience with this Miami Marlins team, maybe that gets to them. Maybe that gets to this young team. And maybe, they panic a little bit. Especially going into this very, 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 very loud crowd. Who knows, though? But maybe they also do have the thought in the back of their mind, we don't care. We know we can beat this team. Why not just go do it? That's, where it comes to that lingering negative dot in the panic in the back of your mind. So, it's basically a wait-and-see process. I'll be there tomorrow night, so that's going to be fun. 8 o'clock start. All three of these games are going to be at 8 o'clock. So whatever people have to do in the afternoon, work and all that stuff, you get it done and out of the way. Then you can go down to the ballpark if you're going to the game, if people found a way to get tickets. I was lucky enough with, the partial plan that me and my cousin had. We got our playoff tickets already. So going to this game, that's going to be fun. First game. This is going to be my first playoff game. Basically, for Phillies baseball, this will be my second playoff game overall in my entire Phillies fandom. I only went to one playoff game during the entire 2007 to 2011 run. And that one game I went to was game 2 of the 2010 NLDS against the Reds. Sadly, it wasn't the Roy Halladay no-hitter. It was game 2 when the Phillies did win that regardless, but still. Would have liked to see a no-hitter in the playoffs as your first postseason game. That would have been nice. But this will be my second playoff game overall. Last year, I wasn't able to go to any of them, which I really do regret. But, yeah. Gotta make those count. I've been a good luck charm for this team when I go to the ballpark. So maybe, it can just continue. We'll see, though. We'll see. Just looking at some more numbers with this team and all that stuff. With Jesus Luzardo on the season, he was 10-9 with a 3.63 ERA, 208 strikeouts, 1.22 WHIP, lefty. Very, impressive young arm for the Marlins. he didn't, he had some games of September where he wasn't the best. He definitely wasn't the best in August either, but he had a really good start to the season, his April, May, June, and July and all that stuff. Maybe he got a little tired as the end of the season went along. He definitely does not go deep in the ball games. Looking at his last couple of starts, 5 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings, 3 2/3 and all that stuff. So he definitely does not go deep in the ball games. That's probably what the Marlins do in general. But if I'm looking at his last few games, in September, he had 4 starts in September against the Milwaukee Brewers, 5 innings, 3 earned runs. One game against the Atlanta Braves, he went 6 innings, allowed 4 hits, no earned runs. Then he went against Milwaukee again, 5 innings, 10 hits, 6 earned runs allowed, 4 walks. So he's definitely walking guys. That definitely is what he's very prone to do. So in this Phillies team, they have a lot of batters in this lineup that can work walks. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and all that stuff. Maybe, Trey Turner. He definitely was walking more in the points of this season. Brandon Marsh has been very much better with drawing walks. So definitely, if you could find a way to get guys on base and get pressure to him, and especially with the ballpark yelling down this kid's throat, we'll see. We'll see. But definitely, this guy can, get on a roll. So let's see the times that he has played the Phillies this year. Let's see the times. So I believe he's only had 2 starts against the Phillies this year, I believe. Yeah, he's had 2 starts, and I believe one was on the road in Citizens Bank Park, and one was in Miami. One was in April, and the other was in July. So the game in Citizens Bank Park, Marlins won that game 8-4. I believe that was an Nola game in the beginning of the season where he blew up. 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts on how many pitches? 98 pitches. The other game against the Phillies in Miami, Marlins won that game 7-3. I believe that was the 4-game series, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, though. That was a 6 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs allowed, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, or 1 walk, 1 home run allowed, 9 strikeouts. So he's pitched in both ballparks this year against this team. Phillies still, though, are a different beast in the playoffs. We know what they can be when they're at their best. So we can see. We definitely have to wait and see. And then for Braxton Garrett, we'll go over game 2 when we get to game 2 and all that stuff. We're basically just focusing on game 1 at this point. I think that's the most important thing. And if you're looking at Zack Wheeler, we know what Zack Wheeler provides. He definitely got better as the year went along. He was 13-6 with a 3.61 ERA, 212 strikeouts, a 1.80 WHIP. Looking at his, last few starts going in towards the end of the season, had a very solid September, very solid. First start of September, 6 innings, 3 earned runs against the Marlins, 6 innings against the Padres, 0 earned runs, 1 hit allowed. He did struggle against the Atlanta Braves in Philadelphia, but then he bounced back mightily in Atlanta, 6 innings, 1 earned run allowed. Then he had 3 earned runs allowed against the Mets, 7 innings pitched there. Then, his final start of the season, he wasn't going deep into the ball game. 4 innings, 1 earned run allowed, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then just looking at some of his better starts of the season, against the St. Louis Cardinals, 7 innings, 10 strikeouts. He had a very good August, a very good month of August. He had 3 straight starts of 7 innings or more. And Zack Wheeler's going to go deep in the ball games. You know that. He's going to be favoring the strikeout if he can get his velocity, up there consistently. If he's in the 97, the 98, the 99 range, you got a good version of Zack Wheeler that night. So if Zack Wheeler can provide that for us tomorrow night, you're in for some good stuff from your pitching. You're in for some very good stuff. Oh boy. Pumped. Gives me goosebumps a little bit. It definitely does. It gives me some goosebumps. Just waiting for Zack Wheeler, seeing him first pitch. He was going to be the first game starter in the playoffs. You knew that was going to be the case. Then Nola goes game 2. You knew that was going to be the 1-2 punch. We got to see how it performs. Got to see what this lineup does. And I'm sure the lineup's basically going to be what it's been consistently, most likely. Kyle Schwarber leading off, Trey Turner 2, Bryce Harper 3, or maybe since they have the lefty, maybe they'll put Nick Castellanos at 3. Well, I'm assuming actually they're going to keep Bryce Harper 3. Maybe they just want to go with the lefty-righty matchup, but I'm assuming, regardless of the matchups, if you're just going by normal lineup and everything like that, it'll be Kyle Schwarber leading off, Trey Turner 2, Bryce Harper 3, Alec Bohm 4, Bryson Stott 5, JT 6, Nick Castellanos 7, Brandon Marsh 8, and then Johan Rojas 9. That's what I would assume it's going to be. I'm not sure if Rob Thompson's going to be playing the matchups with the lefties on the mound. I'm not sure. I don't think he should, in my opinion, because Brandon Marsh has shown improvement against lefties this year. Bryson Stott is 20 billion times better against lefties than he is righties. And even though he's really good against righties, he's just that better against lefties. Bryce Harper can mash regardless of who is on the mound, lefty or righty. It definitely is going to come down to the right-handed bats, though. Your main guys, the Trey Turners, like I said, Trey Turner, JT, Bohm, Nick Castellanos, and all that stuff. It's going to come down to those guys having a big series, especially against the lefties on the mound, because the Marlins have a ton. They got a ton, whether it's the starting rotation, whether it's the bullpen. So they're going to have their money's worth there of lefties. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that stuff. We're going to have to wait and see. But I'm confident. I am confident. And just looking at some of the other playoff matchups, the Brewers are playing the Diamondbacks, the Twins are playing the Blue Jays, and the Rangers, who actually fell out of the AL West Division lead, they're playing the Tampa Bay Rays on the road in the Wild Card Series. Texas, they kind of choked in the last couple of series, especially against Seattle, who got kicked out of the playoffs. They choked that division lead. Astros win the division, and honestly, at this point, I firmly believe the Astros are now going to go back to the World Series. That's what I just firmly believe at this point. I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked if that's the case, if the Astros go back to the World Series. Would not be shocked. Would not be shocked at all. Would not be. Man. Can't wait. I can't wait, though. We do have some voicemails. I see a lot of you in the live feed here. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's get to the Anytime Hotline. You can leave those at 215-839-9885. Your thoughts and opinions on anything there, for this playoff series and everything. Get your thoughts and opinions. So let's go to the Anytime Hotline. Let's see who we got today. We got Sean. Let's see what he has to say, because I'm sure Sean has some lingering doubts at the back of his mind just because it's the Marlins. I just have a feeling, because I know Sean. I know it.
Still recovering from that game yesterday, but gotta flip it around and talk Phillies now. So Phillies and Marlins, I'm of the belief that if you're a good team, you beat whoever they put in front of you. But the Marlins, if I had to pick, would not have been the team that I wanted the Phillies to face. I mean, there are no secrets between these two teams, and the Marlins aren't going to be intimidated in the least coming into Citizens Bank Park having to win games. I do think in postseason experience does play a factor, so hopefully that weighs in the Phillies' favor. My one key player, if I had to hone in on somebody, would be Trey Turner. In postseason baseball, runs are harder to come by. You have to do a lot of manufacturing of runs to get runs home. I think Turner getting on base and stealing bases is important in this series. If he plays the way he did pre-standing ovation, I think the Phillies lose this series. He has to play better not only offensively, but defensively. Too many errors from one position, and again, mistakes are magnified in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, Sean. I definitely agree with that. I think, like I said, with the Marlins going up against, left-handed, with the Phillies going up against all these left-handed pitchers, your right-handed bats are going to be important. I said JT needs to be your X factor. I need JT to have a really good series because he really has struggled at Citizens Bank Park this year. I really need him to find a way to be that X factor because I'm confident that Trey Turner can do stuff. But yeah, Trey Turner can definitely be a key guy that you look into too as well. But, Bryce Harper, I know what Bryce Harper is going to do. I know what he is. He's a superstar. He's going to come up clutch in the moments that you need him to. I'm confident Bryce will figure out how to do his thing. So I'm not worried about that in the slightest. Kyle Schwarber is going to hit bombs. I'm confident about that. It comes down to your right-handed bats. Trey Turner, Alec Bohm, Nick Castellanos, JT. It comes down to those guys. I wouldn't put Johan Rojas there just because he's a young guy, but who knows? Maybe he could surprise us. He surprised us a lot this year. It surprised us a lot this year. But Bryce Harper, yeah, I see a lot of you guys thinking that Bryce Harper is the most important. Yeah, if Bryce Harper goes, this team goes. Wherever he goes, this team goes. And he did that a lot in the playoffs last year, and look how far they went. If Bryce Harper continues to do that, I wouldn't be surprised if this Phillies team goes far again this year. If Bryce Harper puts up the numbers that he did last season, yeah, it's going to be a very fun October. It's going to be a very fun October. I'm confident right now in Zack Wheeler. Hell, I'm fucking confident in Aaron Nola. Fuck it, I'm going to say I'm confident in Aaron Nola. I'm probably going to be shit-faced tomorrow when that happens in Game 2. But, we'll see. We'll see. Oh, God. Oh, God. But, yeah, I'll be at the ballpark tomorrow. It's going to be a very fucking fun time. It's going to feel like years getting to 8 p.m. It's going to feel like years. I believe I got the email that says that the ballpark opens around like 5:30 something or something like that. I do remember getting that email earlier today. I think I got it like a few hours ago. I got to see it again. Here we go. Important information regarding your wild card game tickets. So yeah, it says that Citizens Bank Park games open at 5:38, and then there's going to be a block party outside of Citizens Bank Park at 5 p.m. Oh my God, it's gonna be it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. Rally towels, the red rally towels waving around the ballpark. Man, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it, man. I did see some MLB guys on Twitter, like, Tom Verdugo and all that stuff from MLB Network. He provided his predictions for the playoffs. He says the Phillies win the World Series in 6 over the Astros. So hopefully he's right. Hopefully he's right. I'm confident in this team. I believe that, even though this team's window is still, a good amount of years, I believe that this year, with how weak a lot of other teams are, basically besides the Atlanta Braves, but with how weak a lot of other teams are this year, I believe that this is the Phillies season to win a World Series, to bring it back to South Philly, to get a parade on the Broad Street. This is the year to do it. This is the year to do it, in my honest opinion, regardless of how wide your window is. I think this is the best shot you got. In my opinion, I think it is. I think it is. And I do think that experience from last year, going on that long run, that long journey, it helped. And hell, you went through another long journey this year with your slow start to the season. You're figuring it out again basically right around June when the team started getting hot again. And then basically this team went on an insane roll during August. And hell, even though they started off September a little bit slower, they found a way to close out September very strong. Very strong. If you look at the last few games, against that last game against the Pirates and those 2 games against the Mets, it's basically you're just playing not to get hurt. You're playing not to get hurt. Maybe you use some bullpen arms to get some confidence and all that. What else? And just getting other guys to get some length out of the bullpen so you don't risk injuries from main guys that you're going to be using. You saw Nick Nelson in that last game pitch like over 5 innings against the Mets. You still won that game, but I'm just saying. You saw Matt Strahm get that start in the final game. In Taijuan Walker. So I have no idea what's going to happen in that situation. Christopher Sanchez didn't pitch, I believe. You saw that Plasmeyer guy get a start in that second game of the doubleheader. So yeah. You did see Alec Boehm get a home run on that Sunday, get his 20th. You saw Brandon Marsh get another home run, so that was good to see. But yeah, you finished off on a strong note for this month of September for the first time in a while. Let's continue this journey, man. Let's continue this journey because I'm not ready for a short October. I want this to be a long October once again. So we can focus on Phillies baseball every single day, every single series, breaking that shit down while also going through the Eagles season at the same time. Because that was fun last year, man. That was fun, You get the birds during October, when the weather gets cooler and all that stuff, and you're also still talking about Phillies. Like seriously, right now, October is one of the best months of the fucking year. It really is, because you get playoff baseball. Football's basically throughout the middle of the season. You get hockey coming back. You get basketball coming back, regardless of how we feel about the Sixers. But still, basically, October is the best month for sports. It really is. And if the Phillies can provide us a long October, what more can you ask for? What more can you ask for? Because if we get another long October and it ends in a World Series trophy coming back to Philadelphia, man. But that's still a long ways away. It's a long journey. It's a long process. And I'm going to be here. We're going to be here every step of the way. For the angst, the frustration, the excitement, the joy, the happiness, The tears. It's going to be all built up into this entire October, man. It really is. We saw the highs and the lows from last year. We saw the highs and the lows. I can't wait for it again. I can't wait for it again. Like I said, even though I have that lingering, panic in the back of my mind just because it's the fucking Marlins in this team's history, I'm still confident that this Phillies team, is going to give us something magical. I just do, man. I just do. It's that locker room, man. It's that clubhouse. It's the way they bond. It's the way that this team has that fortitude. That they go through the adversity. They go through they treat the playoffs, they treat the 162 basically as an entire journey of what the playoffs are going to feel like. You go through that angst, you go through that frustration at the beginning of the year, and then you take us on another ride throughout the rest of the season. And that's basically what these playoffs are going to be. That's what it's going to be. Is it going to be another situation where you're coming back down with, from the ninth inning to walk it off or something like that? Like similar to what you did against the Cardinals last year? Is it going to be something like that? I hope not. I hope not, because I don't want to go through 9 innings of being shut out, only to, even though that'll be electric as hell to win another ball game like that in the 9th inning. But, we'll see, man. We'll see. Let me get to you guys in the comment section, because I feel like I keep you guys on hold long enough. Let's go to the chat here. Chris, how you doing, man? I haven't heard from you in a little bit. What's good, man? How you doing? Charles, how you doing? I understand the playoffs are a different beast, but what is your take on the Phillies losing against the Marlins in the regular season in play in 2023? It seems the Phillies have the Braves number and the Marlins have. Yeah, it definitely is there. Marlins won one extra game than the Phillies. I believe it was a very neck and neck series if you're looking at everything. How many games they played? I believe it was, they played 2-3 games, I think 3-3-game series and 1 4-game series. So I believe it was like a 13 game or something like that. So they went like, trying to think, because the Marlins never swept the Phillies. I feel like the first 2 series of the year, the Phillies were 1-2 in I don't know. It was a very neck and neck series. That's basically what I'll say there. Very neck and neck and all that stuff. Pitching definitely was a factor for Miami. Their offense, sometimes they went off, and the Phillies, sometimes they went off. So these teams, they played evenly matched in the regular season, but I do think when you get to the postseason, it definitely is a different beast. Inexperience plays a factor. The Marlins, yeah, they definitely do have a very bad run differential. That's one of the worst run differentials in playoff history, I believe. So that definitely could be playing a factor. But even though the Marlins, they do know how to come back in games. They do know how to win run games. That basically was their bread and butter this entire season. If I look at this, even though I'm not going to look at that, actually, I know the Marlins dominated this season when in one-run, low-scoring games. That basically is their bread and butter, low-scoring games. That's how they won most of their games. They score a couple of runs, they rely on their pitching, they rely on their bullpen, and they rely to be close. And that's how they win their games. If you get into a shoot-off, I don't think the Marlins can win a shoot-off, because I don't think their offense is as dynamic. They got some good pieces in their lineup, no doubt, but if it's a shoot-off and everyone in the Phillies lineup is going off, I don't think the Marlins have enough to compete with that. I don't. And the Phillies have proven that they can get to the Marlins bullpen. They've done it a couple of times this season, so I'm not worried about that. I'm definitely not. Marlins slap the ball around the ballpark. Phillies will knock extra base hits. Will be some great games. Yeah. Jake Burger has been one of the best additions to any team this season. What a great value power. Yeah, Jake Burger definitely has been, I would say, the X factor in the trade deadline. Luis Arias got 4 home runs in a series versus the Braves. Arias was stuck on 6 home runs all year. Jesus. I predict the low-scoring games with a great matchup, with great pitching matchups. Yep, low-scoring games, that definitely is their bread and butter. It is a beautiful time of the year to watch some awesome baseball. All eyes are on the NL East once again. Going to cover the Flyers tonight? Probably not. Probably not. Phillies are right now the more prominent thing right now, and the Eagles. When we get to when we go close, I know I was going to say I'll maybe do a Flyers thing or something like that over the weekend, but when we get closer to Flyers regular season hockey, I'll put a video out. I'll put some stuff out. I am going to recap Flyers games this year. That's not going to go away, because even though this team's going to suck, I'll put Flyers recaps out there because I know this team has a vision. I know they have a goal in mind from Danny Briere, Keith Jones, in that front office. So even though they're going to suck, I'm not going to be mad watching them. I'll recap them. Going to be some ugly games, but I'll recap them. Would you rather have been the Cubs At this point, yeah, like I said, I have that lingering doubt, but who you play. You don't have any control over that. Phillies are playing house money if they make it to the NLDS rematch versus the 1-2 the Braves. Phillies took them out last year, so really it's the Braves to knock them out this year. Mario says he likes the Marlins. Yes, they did win the regular season series, but at the end of the day, when you get into the playoffs, regular season series doesn't matter. It does not matter who you're facing. What else? I'm cursed. I'm of course a part of Braves country, but it's also I do appreciate you, Chris, joining here. I do appreciate you. I know I have some other fandoms here subscribe to my channel, and most of them are good. Some of them are assholes, that occasional troll and all that crap. The majority are good. Like you, Chris. Like you. Marlins have the worst run difference in MLB history to make the playoffs. They have the worst road record of any team in the playoffs. Nice story, but the NL was so weak this year. Phillies aren't losing to the Marlins. Look at Julian here. Look at Julian. When Julian is talking positivities, you know something's right. You know something's right. We know all the lore here and all that stuff with, Julian and the negativity that everyone wants to bring up. But Julian is speaking facts. He is speaking positivities. We got it here. We got it. If Trey Turner doesn't get one hit, the Phillies will still win. Sean is 100% wrong. Harper is the guy that makes this team go. 83 rematch, Baltimore versus Philly. Chalk never goes to the final in every sports. Braves praying Miami. Braves are praying Miami wins this series. Let's see. Mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. World Series parade, November 2nd. Let's go from Jose. My prediction is Phillies versus Orioles in the world. A lot of people in my comments always have Phillies and Orioles World Series. That would be fun. It really would, but who knows, man? Who knows? I think the Astros at this point, since they won the division, they're going back to the World Series. I just think that. Phillies versus Los Angeles in the NLCS, so I can go again this year to Cali. I can't make the NLCS in Philly. Money isn't there, but we'll be in LA if they make it. Who knows, man? Who knows? If the Brewers find a way to beat the Diamondbacks in their wild card matchup, I think they beat LA. I think the Brewers pitching is going to be too much because LA doesn't have pitching. LA does not have a starting rotation. I know they just got Walker Buehler back, I believe. If he is pitching, I'm not entirely sure. But right now, their starting rotation is Clayton Kershaw and a bunch of young, inexperienced dudes. I don't trust LA's pitching. They got a very dynamic offense, no doubt. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, JD Martinez, and all that stuff. But you go as far as your pitching can take you, I believe. I know an offense can definitely carry a team throughout the postseason, but you need a little bit of both. So I'm not sure about the Dodgers yet right now. I'm not sure. They do get the bye week, so they got some time to rest. But I am not sold on their pitching. I am not. Phillies in 2. I believe this team is good enough to win the World Series, so no reason to worry about the Marlins. You're spot on. The right-handed hitters need to get to hit no slumps from Trey, Casty, and JT. Exactly, yeah. Right-handed hitters, especially with the left-handed pitching having Marlins, it's very important for these right-handers to go off. You know Harper's going to do his stuff. You know Schwarber's going to do his stuff. It all depends on JT, Nick, Turner, and Bohm. Even though you go as far as Bryce Harper takes you, I still need more from those guys, especially JT. I think I know Nick's going to do his things. I think he's going to be doing some wondrous things this playoff run, especially from the season that he had this year. Trey Turner, after the standing ovation, was a completely different player. So, let's see how it takes us, man. Let's see where it takes us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very fun. And I can't wait. I cannot wait at all. Let's see. Milwaukee seems to never do anything in the playoffs, and the American League and the NL Central teams every year do nothing. I think MLB should reseed no matter if you win the division. Definitely could be a topic. Definitely could be. Trying to see if there's anything up here on Twitter. Let's see. I don't think there's anything here. There's constantly, Rhys Hoskins, clips on Twitter from his batting practices. He's constantly going over it. So that's nice. What else? Basically teams going through their, interviews and all that stuff. So it's going to be an interesting time. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else here on Twitter. that can pop up for this. Phillies are doing their little rally towel thing, their stuff throughout the city to prepare for tomorrow, so that's good to see with the fans, interact with them. And yeah. Let's see. Oh, Bryce Harper has an interesting t-shirt on. Oh, he's got a Trey Turner t-shirt on. Interesting. That's some nice stuff. Eh. So yeah, I can't wait, boys. I cannot wait. But I think that is where we're going to call it today. It is getting closer and closer to 6 o'clock, and I am going to the Flyers preseason game tonight, so I'm going to have to call it off here so I can just get prepared for that before me and my father head out. So we'll be back tomorrow to recap whatever happens in Game 1 of the Wild Card Series between the Phillies and the Marlins. I'll be there tomorrow night, so definitely expect the recap to be around, the game's at 8 o'clock. Even though they're still using the pitch clock and all that stuff, who knows how long the game's going to be. Maybe it gets over by 10:30 and all that stuff if everything goes, smoothly, and I'm home by 11. Just expect a recap between 11 and 12. Basically expect that. So that's most likely when it will be. And yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. But for now, thank you for joining today, everybody. I appreciate you guys that took time out of your day in this late afternoon to tune into the stream. And if you weren't able to tune into the stream, it still will be up on your subscription feed and all that stuff, so you can view it later tonight. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I would love it for, all that stuff to join and everything there. There's like a thing in the back of my throat, so I'm gonna have to try to end this quickly. So yeah, hit that subscribe button if you're new or a current member of the channel. I appreciate you all for that stuff. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Thank you guys once again for joining today. Go Phils. It's going to win tomorrow.